Hey guys, welcome back to the Kaiyo cast. It is episode 36. We have the Studio Penrose team here. We have Peachbight, Quin, and Khang here. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing just great. Yeah.
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm pretty good. Jumping straight into this. So in the last episode, me and Khang kind of talked about a lot of like the upcoming projects you guys have going on. It's your Precious Autumn or our Precious Autumn?
Ooh, okay. My leg just disappeared, but aside from that, so the name of the film is Our Precious Autumn, but you're also slightly right in Your Precious Autumn because of the manga that the main character is writing is called Your Precious Autumn.
Do you guys have any other kind of projects kind of in the behind the scenes like work going on right now?
We actually do have one. It hasn't been announced just yet, but I am personally directing a short film known as Minutes, which I'm going to be doing alongside one of our choreographer people known as Crispy Wisp. I'm going to go more into detail in a little bit, but basically it's a very emotionally engaging short film. And it's not as long as, like Emergence that we put out last year, but it'll be around 4 to 6 minutes long. So it's not a full-length short film, but it's still very cinematic.
How did Peach and Quinn? How did you guys kind of find film? How did that kind of happen? And like come a thing.
If I had to think of somewhere, I guess, it started back when my dad was like, hey, we have some original movies on, in our faraway bookshelf in our house. It was the original Star Wars trilogy. He got me hooked onto that at a very young age, which was really cool because I got to see a very cool story from start to finish of the original trilogy, which was episode 1 to 6. And it was very enticing, and it got me more interested in film back then. But at the time, I was also looking at more things outside of film, more towards like automotive and engineering things, because that's where my head was at. And that's kind of been where it's been since, in terms of going to study what I do now and such. As around high school, I got familiar with VR chat at the time, and I took my skills from photography in real life and put into here when they of course had the camera, and then at the time VRC lens was just becoming a thing. So it was really cool to see actual camera optics and options in here to work with and actually be able to take photos really naturally. Came across a different studio back in the day by the name of Metacosm, and they were producing a film in here, a big full-fledged movie. And I was able to shadow them a long time ago, and I blatantly asked, hey, would you guys need another cameraman? And they said yes. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And it got me more interested in film because I was able to not only take my photography skills, but also learn new skills within here, of course. And from that, I've been able to take those skills and hone them and refine them to produce little short cinematics and also help with projects like Emergence and other things within Studio Penrose. And it's been a very fun journey, even though I still have a lot to learn. So I'm hoping to show what I can do right now with Minutes in the course with Our Precious Autumn when we get working on that and have it ready to go.
Yeah, I also had a interest in film back in my high school days. I think, also growing up, I watched a lot of films, Star Wars original trilogy. I actually probably rewatched the movies like 100 times each because, there's not really much else to do back then. And watched those films quite a bit. But yeah, high school, I started actually getting involved in like the high school's video yearbook and some of the video production. And yeah, it was pretty interesting to me, but I actually kind of took a break after that. Focused on engineering, in school for uni, and actually back in 2020, I was approached. I was playing VR chat, for the first time, and I got approached whether I'd like to start filming a trailer for a project known back then as VR chat the movie. And fast forward a little bit, it became this phenomenon, and eventually renamed into the metaverse. But yeah, that's basically, I was there for the founding of Metacosm Studios, and from there I just kind of picked up more responsibilities, and that's where I eventually got into doing assets and world and avatars, that kind of thing. And yeah, that's pretty much a history. And I work alongside these directors doing not just the dev stuff, but all sorts of things here and there to support them in their work.
One really random question that kind of just popped in my head. Do you guys have like did I ask you Kong this about like do you guys have like top like favorite films that you guys like really enjoy?
Oh, yeah, you asked me about him. So I think that's in the other interview,
Yeah.
but you should ask these two, because I also don't remember.
Oh, that's really tough. It's really tough. I feel like I'm not really too big into superlatives. I'm gonna say things that have influenced me though. Blade Runner's up there. It's definitely up there. I kind of like Back to the Future for kind of it's kind of like they say it's like a perfect movie, and sometimes I draw some inspiration. I just kind of get Blade Runner as like a default. How about you, Quinn?
Well, I hate to bounce off exactly where you stopped, but the newer Blade Runner movie, Blade Runner 2049, is actually one of the main inspirations that got me more invested into film. Because when I saw it, I'd previously seen the original Blade Runner from 1983, I think. But the difference and just the way that the new Blade Runner was conducted and directed was such a unique experience for me, and be able to see this just gorgeous layout and atmosphere of this whole story was just so fascinating to me at a young age, and it got me just so invested on like how can I make something like this because I'm invested in. And it's been my goal ever since. So I'm hoping to basically take, of course, aspects and inspiration from that Blade Runner movie and incorporate it into, projects in here, of course, and also projects in real life. So that's partially one of the goals of Minutes, is to be very visually encapsulating, sorry. And of course for Your Precious Autumn, because both of them are very emotional stories.
Hopping into this next question, but where do you guys kind of see virtual production more or less going in like 5 to 10 kind of years?
Oh, personally for me, coming from like the technical background, I really see people playing around with some of the more refinements of the technique. I feel like most people have basic film technique down, but now it's like next level. There's certain things about VR chat or VR that just limit a lot of things that you can do currently, and just to name a few, there's latency. There's also like the visual fidelity, the fact that we don't actually collide with each other. These kinds of things. I think going into the future was just like the general improvements. So people are going to make their own sets. They're going to improve their own avatars. It's going to be probably in the realm of it might pre-animate a few things. It may do some mocap, those kinds of improvements. Since I think that's kind of what's holding back from doing some of those more complicated types of films. And I think for sure, kind of related to that, people are going to get a bit more narratively ambitious as their workflows are more solidified and.
Excuse me. Yeah, and I guess alongside that, like Peach said, a lot of that is kind of the current things of where virtual production is in terms of VR chat. But I'm hoping to see, at least later on, a growth in terms of the community itself, because what it is right now, it's a very niche aspect in terms of the whole VR community, because, we're just kind of starting things off. It's only been, 3 or 4 years since doing this as a whole, and it's grown definitely for sure, but, who knows where we'll be in the next 5 or 10 years, because there are constantly new people coming into VR, exploring it, thanks to all these new headsets and AR experiences and all that fun stuff. With that, it's going to be an interesting experience to see what's also created to help benefit virtual production in terms of reducing latency, or making it so where we can collide with components that we push people through certain objects. So so I don't punch through your head and go pew. But I'm hoping that it gets a little bit better and a little bit easier for us to make in film productions, because it can take a little bit, and it takes a few retries, of course, but that's just how it is, and that's okay.
I'll just make this short, because I think I also was asked that last time, but holistically speaking, I think that as VR film makes it a little bit more out there, outside of the VR, I guess, sphere, that's hopefully where I think this medium's going to go, because it's very niche, like Quinn said, and it doesn't really fall into one category of film type or the other, and so we struggle with, I guess, branching out and catching a wider audience, because for those who don't know VR or don't know anything about like how VR operates, our films are kind of hidden. You wouldn't really find them if you searched them up, because we don't label these as animations or like, I guess, like mocap. So hopefully that is another expansion of where this is going.
To add on to that, actually, like I showed the rework of the film. Wait, I'm blanking. What was the? It was the film you guys just showed off with the new sound design and
Oh, Penrose
Miss
Protocol.
Protocol.
yeah, Penrose Protocol. I was showing that to my parents, and because my dad likes action like films and stuff, and I was like, this is something he'll like. I was like, I didn't tell him anything about it. I was like, I just showed it to him. He was like, this is actually really good, and that fight scene was like really advanced. I was like, Dad, this is in VR, and he's like, I. Like, I don't think people know like this is motion capture VR, and like once more of this like it's more advanced and like out there, I feel like a lot more people are gonna be either inspired by it and really interested by it, and like will get into virtual production, or like it's just like so cool on how accessible this is and how people don't really know how accessible it is to get into this.
Yeah, actually, that brings up a funny little term that we've coined for what we do. Because, like, at the studio, we've been trying to figure out, okay, what do we call ourselves? And so we came up with this fun word, just animotion, where it's like a combination of animation and, like, motion capture. And we're gonna start, like, coining our films with that from now on. And starting with, like, the next upcoming films, we'll use that a lot more during screenings and during social media, like posts and marketing and stuff, to try to get it out. But that reaction that you mentioned, where your dad was like, how? That's actually a very common thing that we get when we show people who don't play VR our films. There's always like a little clunkiness, right, with what we do, and it sometimes doesn't look the like one-on-one for animation, where you don't have to worry about clipping because you can animate out the clipping. But we're kind of breaching the super weird like medium, because okay, one of the things that I like to point out is, even though we aren't animation, we're definitely not just motion capture. We also have like real life filmmaking traits as well. Like, our cameras are controlled in a similar way to how cameras are operated in real life. I personally like to do handheld motion a lot, and so I'm always holding the camera, much like how I would in real life, doing photography in real life. It's actually really similar, but there's like things that are better in VR. Like, for instance, where you would need a crane in real life to perform a certain shot, we have these very controllable drones. And where you would need to have a lot of skills in drone flying and avoiding like telephone poles and trees and stuff. We don't have to worry about any of that. We can just fly through it. I mean, we don't want to, but it's not a concern of ours. And so, like, these kind of things are what makes our medium unique, and more accessible. And obviously, with the cost of this sort of thing being mainly just the full body tracking for those that use that, and the avatars and camera equipment themselves, it's a much more affordable option to go with compared to like animating and getting a lot of like camera equipment in real life. That's kind of why I do this stuff. I think these guys do the same thing, or similar reasons.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
really at the core of it, what you're trying to do is communicate like a story, and regardless of whether you're using like a real camera, virtual camera, or animating, that core is really there. You're using your tools that you have to convey it, and at least having the tools, yeah, that's very accessible here in a VR.
While it's new, filming anything within virtual reality is a new way to share a story. And we've been trying, we are continuing to, try and show that, saying it's a really creative space to share a vision you have or story you want to make. And it's really cool because, with what we do, we also try to inspire other people to, say, hey, you should try it out if you want to and see what you can make. And fortunately, a lot of people have done that. And we've seen some other studios pop up across the world, and also, solo individuals who produce some amazing content over the years. So it's really exciting to see that. And I look forward to see what comes next.
Heck yeah. And kind of bouncing off a little bit more of the technical side of it with like have you guys heard of the upper body tracking of like what the Quest 3 and some of the like other headsets are capable of nowadays? So like, do you guys know what that is? Like upper body kind of motion tracking?
Oh yeah, it's
I've never
from
heard of it.
estimation, right?
Kind of like slime, but not. It's like it uses the cameras and then like estimates a little. So that's actually really interesting to me, because the better that's gonna get, the even more accessible. Like you could probably like use that tech as like a substitute, maybe even for like helping full body even look better, or even just maybe even using that as like a motion capture kind of thing that's built into the headset, and having that maybe in the next like 2 to 3 years as like a budget motion capture device to be like, oh, I want to like do some like virtual film production, like music video thing, and I just need to buy a VR headset and I'm ready to go. Like that'd be crazy accessible, crazy good.
Even now, I think there's like tools for full body estimation, like I think it's like a Steam thing. Yeah,
Standable.
I mean, people build these tools all the time. Oh yeah, I know it's out there.
Same with like cameras, you know, like kind of like how we're talking about with like IRL film. It's more, I have a $5,000 camera, and then it's like that's not including costumes, the set, everything else. It's like you kind of hop into VR and it's like maybe 100 on like booth assets, maybe like a bunch of time on like a world, like writing a script. It's like a little bit more even like I even were to say like affordable, because even full body tracking and a headset is maybe around 1,500, so that's even cheaper than camera equipment, and you could still tell that same kind of story in VR. So I dare to say more affordable even too.
Yeah, I'd say it's much more cost efficient because if you're going for a very professional kit in real life, you have, of course, a camera, some type of gimbal, some way to record audio, maybe some filters on top of your lens, and just some other, additional assets. It could bump it up to maybe $3, $4, $5,000 as a whole. And of course, you want to do a major gimbal, that's, another $5,000 to that as well. But when it comes to here, you can, of course, buy an avatar or, find one that's publicly available, which can be, free or maybe 20 to $50. And then, get the asset called VRC lens, which is around, how much is it nowadays? I kind of forgot.
Is it $20
It's like
Something-
$13.
or
Like
something?
13 bucks. Yeah, like $13. And,
Yeah.
the features that it provides, you're able to do gimbal movements within that whole asset. Like you can, adjust all types of parameters. And it's just that simple. Like you don't need $5,000 of VR hardware to make something really cool in here. It's very cost friendly, and we've been updating as time goes on. So getting full body, getting little assets to help us have smoother tracking, and modifying things here and there so we have smoother camera movements and other little small shenanigans. So it's been fun.
Also, I'm really looking forward to like just technology getting better in the next 5 to 10 years of like better full body tracking, better, more cost effective headsets, more better of like motion capture kind of like budget items that could make this medium a lot like smoother, better. For example, like like what is it? There's the current HTC new Ultimate trackers, which have the Quest Pro controller. It tracks with like the cameras, not base stations. So like the better that gets, I feel like that's going to be the most accessible full body tracking thing to use for motion capture.
And this is not even to mention, with real life filming, you have to worry about things like if you have a studio, you have to have the location, or you need to go to a location. You have to worry about other things like lighting, and you need to have other people with you, and there's also just the logistics of doing all those things, and those are vastly simpler, more simple in VR. Like we're on the beach. You didn't have to like fly us out here or anything.
Yeah. Or it's like also like you could like even in like the worlds, or even like when making a world for a film, or it's like I could adjust the lighting, I can adjust this how I want it. There's so much more leeway with like sets, costume design, and like other things that you could just like that are so much easier and more cost efficient. It's super interesting, and it's only going to get better.
Yeah, like they say that you should never try to film at sunset or sunrise, specifically because you have like no time to do that. But you could just set the world to be at sunrise or sunset or something.
Yeah.
Something crazy. You have a lot of control.
Also, like how it's like they say like don't bring like cameras and stuff outside, like when water make thing not work no more. Here in VR chat, we could do a very dark, ominous scene with rain, other things like cool. It's like, and you won't damage your camera.
It's
Most
pretty neat.
damage you might face is you trip in VR maybe or something.
That's the
true.
one thing. That's the one thing. Yeah.
Yeah, there are limitations when it comes to filming. For example, if you are using a headset that has a cord, yanking the cord by accident, going a certain set distance, or accidentally tripping over something, it does happen. Things do occur, and accidents, will result from it. For example, we've had some people, accidentally break controllers, or cables have malfunction because of it. But of course, nothing too crazy. But the only thing
Oh,
you
yeah.
really need is a stable internet connection for doing stuff in here, because everything else is readily accessible, or you can make it.
Yeah. Or I feel like another thing with like body acting, kind of like what Crispy was and all the other body actors do. I think if I were to do that, I feel like I would get too immersed in the scene, and I would just like actually like jump into a wall or something. Like it'd be really bad.
It's happened.
It
That's
has
actually an
happened.
aspect of like body acting. Like for me, I've always had very limited space. In essence, I can't get too immersed because I always have to be aware of like where everything is, or else I'm gonna like just fall and die. Yeah, I have like no immersion in VR anymore. Even like the Quest Pro here, I had to take off the gasket for like
Oh, to like see
the light
outside.
fogging.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I can actually see. Yeah, like I'm gonna try.
I can
Yeah, I
barely
mean,
see. I got the
you
full
know-
light blocker on.
Oh god.
Do that.
Oh, I'm gonna run into something.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had days where I've actually like stubbed my toe on my desk or my bed, and it's like, I hate it some days, but it just happens. Or if I'm like recording something above me, like my fan's running and it's a very short roof,
Oh,
so
no.
I actually like get my hands smacked, and I'm like, okay, this is great. But fortunately, we're okay. We haven't broken anything just yet, so I now know not to put my hand up. We'll be all right.
That's gonna
Yeah.
hurt.
But,
Or,
yeah.
yeah, it's like this is why fans are the
Exactly.
VR enemy. You gotta remove the fan, cause like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you gotta stay safe.
Stay safe out there. Be careful with your VR hardware.
Please don't slam the index controller into the wall. It will break.
We'll lose.
These things,
It's gonna die.
just be careful with it. These things are
Yeah.
somewhat robust, honestly, but don't do it forcefully.
Yes.
If it happens accidentally, it's fine.
Also, what I've heard is like with that, it's like don't drop it from the wrong angle. I've heard someone drop their index controller from the wrong angle, and the trigger fell out, or something.
The trigger is so temperamental. My mind always breaks because if you put lateral force on the trigger, you'll if there's like a plastic part of the trigger that braces it, keeps it hinged. If you break that, it's over. Yeah, it's very easy to break.
Other than that, it's pretty durable. That's another thing we need. It's like Valve, better controllers, please, or some other company, better controllers with hand tracking, and like better haptics, maybe. Like, yes,
Yeah. Oh, another thing is the trigger. It's so sensitive. It'll sense your hands even if they aren't there. Okay, can you have all hands up? See, trigger issue. Oh, there you go.
Why'd you out me like that?
I'm just saying, it's real easy. That's like actually we have a lot of reshoots because of that. I'm actually kind of frustrated.
like retakes.
I
because
always
it's
tell
like,
my
oh,
body actors to make a
oh,
fist for that reason.
I don't want to know how much like retakes. It's like, oh, the controller did something again. Reshoot it.
Many retakes.
Yeah.
Oh god, don't start, please.
Luckily, we're not using real film. That'd be expensive.
That would be
True.
really expensive. That's also one of the perks. You can have infinite film as long as you have storage.
Just have that like 10 terabyte hard drive or something ready. Oh, you're chilling.
It'll be
For
fine.
real.
Why are some of these like video files and stuff like hella big nowadays? It's like for these films, and then it's like, guys, we finally finished filming. The like 40 like gigabytes of like footage, and it's like, oh god.
Depends on the amount it takes and the length and how high quality you, I guess, film in. Because like
Yeah.
I know people that film in 4K. I don't do that, and speaking of people that film in 4K over here, it eats up storage.
Quinn.
Yes. So back in the summer, I was tasked with filming a music video for TFM Johnny alongside Ariel. And one of the things we had to do was we had to film it in 4K, but it was a specific format. I think it was called Apple Pro 4K, which is ridiculously high quality to the point where if you film like, maybe 10 or 20 seconds, that's half a gig.
What?
It is very high. But yeah, that's yeah, we were able to do it. It worked, and it looked really good. So most of the stuff though, I don't film that high quality because it eats up my own storage, and I don't have anywhere else to put it besides whatever hard drive is available. But for most of our productions, we keep it pretty simple and not over the top, but we do make it look nice.
Yeah. Do you guys record
Yeah.
in 1080 to I would be like 1440, right? Or something? Oh.
We do 1080.
Yeah, we usually
Yeah.
do 1080. But the footage will end up getting upscaled in the end, which makes it look good without the complications of having that high of storage.
Yeah, it's also just in terms of performance needed to render that on set. It can kind of drop your frame rate.
Your computer will turn into a jet engine. Just be advised.
You gotta maintain at least 24 frames.
Or also like with that much like editing and footage in like a video editor, it's also like you don't got a high-end graphics card. Your Premiere Pro will like yell at you. Like the amount of times I've had Premiere Pro yell at me because I don't have enough RAM or my computer's just crying, it's just like bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I feel that pain.
that's definitely one of the costs of what we do is you actually do need to have a decent computer to film, or at least be the person that's the camera person, because depending on what you're shooting, like if you have a scene with a lot of people and you're trying to show all avatars, there's no way that you're going to optimize every one of the avatars for a shoot, and so that will basically destroy your frame rate. So I usually run, or I guess trim down my FPS in my films to 23 point whatever. It's like a typical film FPS. But I will tell you that depending on the scene, my frames can dip down like closer to 25 anyways because of just lag. Shooting like club scenes, for instance, anything with a lot of people, like 40 people in the instance, that'll destroy it.
Yeah.
So not fun, but and that's running 1080. Like keep in mind, not like 4K.
Oh
film.
no. I can't even imagine like
Yeah.
rendering in like 1440 or 4K would be like you are at 10 frames now.
And just to kind of give an idea of how much it can stress test your computer. For example, we render the game twice over through each of our lenses, so our left and our right. And if we want to capture post-processing and such, we'll pull out the other camera and put that to stream. That's rendering the game again. And then if you pull out, for example, an asset called VRC lens, you're rendering the game again. So 4 times over. So if you
Wow.
have like 10 people in a world, times it by 4. So if you do a
There
full
are
lobby
multiple.
with 80, yeah,
There are multiple cameras within VRC lens, so you're technically rendering the game multiple times.
That's
yes,
crazy.
it hurts your computer. So be prepared to, not have the best frames in the world, but do keep it above 24 if you can.
Okay, someone remind me here to upgrade my computer before I try VRC lenses and try recording films. I'm on a 2060. My computer will have a fucking heart attack.
Well, hold on. Well, I mean, to be fair, I did record on a 1070 Ti for a very long time until
Oh,
this
no.
year. So it is possible to work with. I just had to do some
Yeah.
little tinkering myself on my side. But don't be
Yeah.
discouraged. You can work with what you have. But if it's, 2015, 2016 maybe, I'm not so sure. But make sure your computer is capable of doing VR first, and then go from there.
Yeah, it really depends on how complicated your scene is too. Like if you have like a ton of people and you have to show everybody, it's like, oh, yeah, you're probably not going to get your frames. But if it's just like a scene with like 2 people, and sometimes that's all you really need, then you're probably going to be fine.
And I'm explaining like
Actually-
extreme cases, like club scenes, for example. Like those are very harsh on your computer. But if it's much more like a smaller scale, like maybe 4 to 8 people max, you'll be fine.
It'd be kind of fun to actually talk about production types now that you kind of brought this up, because for newer people, I always give the advice, start small to get used to everything. Because when you do a film or start a production, it's not just about the camera work. It's about learning how to manage a team, how to like direct people on set, how to like set times and stuff like that. Typical like project manager type stuff. But like, not all films have to be grand in scale. Like, Penrose Protocol was the more difficult of our films that we've all. So us three worked on that project. There was a lot in it, like a lot, like a lot of stuff that made the production very difficult, like the fight scene, choreography, the amount of worlds that were developed, or I guess the main like world that was developed for it was that shootout world that was in the shootout scene in the film, and also that continuous shot in the very beginning was very tedious, and there was a lot of like just a lot of stuff. If I were to try to have done that when I first started out filming, it just would not have worked. Like, there's no way. But uh, the films that we're actually actively working on right now, so Minutes for Quin, Our Precious Autumn for me, and another project, there's a film series that we're working on, an episodic film series. Peach is actually leading the writing charge at the moment. So, like, these three productions are different. So Minutes and Autumn are very similar, whereas the series is tedious, kind of like Penrose Protocol was in some sense. Autumn and Minutes both rely majorly on like one or two main characters in a scene at a time. So with Minutes, the majority of the film will only have one main character, and for Autumn it'll be between one and three. And because of this, you don't need a really good computer for this. I used to use a 2060 as well, and it got me through the majority of like years of filming. But what happened was I started increasing the size, scale of these productions, and that's where I started needing more stuff, these club scenes. But you can tell a very compelling story with very few people. It's all about what sort of story you're like telling and writing. And if you kind of pay attention too to some of the more emotional type films, they typically center around a single person. And you can absolutely do that as your first production. There's a lot of stuff you can tell just with one or two people. And so Minutes and Autumn will be a little bit of a proof of concept as well to those that are like trying to get into filmmaking, that like, hey, you don't have to have a crazy amount of just people and computer space, or you don't have to build like a supercomputer to film this stuff. Um, Without getting too much into the production details right now, Minutes and Autumn are different in production. Like Autumn does actually have a lot of back behind the scene type stuff that's involved with it. Minutes does too, but it's a lot smaller in scale. And even so, there's like a lot packed into both films. So, yeah, the scale of the production matters in terms of like requirements to complete the project.
Yeah, and with that, for me, Minutes, it's my first project directing. So, like he said, start small and then work up from there. So I'm testing my own abilities, saying, hey, am I able to take on this management role and direct everything in a way that I see will make the film look really nice and whatnot. And if it goes well, work on bigger projects from there, of course. But my main role within the studio is actually doing cinematography, so making things look very pretty for the viewers. So always a lot of fun. But with directing, it's a whole different avenue because you have to take on so many other aspects. Of course, your actors, your voice actors. What sound design do you want? What words you're going to use? Just a lot of different parameters you have to take into account and saying, hey, how do I want to structure all of it? So it's a lot more on the mind, but it gives you a lot to understand just how much more or not complex, but just how much more vivid film or directing films are, and it gives you a little bit of a different peak. But yeah, I'm hoping to be able to show just what I can do in terms of directing something very small, and if it goes very well and people like it, I will continue doing that and help out with other projects as well. But yeah.
I'm really excited for all those projects, and then also one other kind of thing that's actually like it's coming out here like next week. Do you guys heard about like Starheart's like debut thing, and she's making like a debut video for it? That looks exciting. I'm super excited for that.
Yes.
Actually, without giving too much, I want to just shout out Starheart for that. So, when I first met them was during Rain Dance. I'm pretty sure about that. Yeah, I think. At least that was the first time I talked to them. And they submitted their music video to Rain Dance, and they won the music video award for this year's Rain Dance, and it just reminded me about like, wow, I didn't know who Starheart was, and here they are like producing this amazing project. And some of our body actors that have worked with us in our studio are also helping her with that debut video. And it's just like, it's all very interconnected. And so Starheart and us, like we talk all the time about like production, and we keep up to date with how their debut's going. And it's fun. Like people have different productions, and they're very like different in terms of like how they are produced, how like people run their studios, and how they run their groups. And it's always very interesting to talk with others about like how they do stuff differently than us. But yeah, shout out to Starheart.
I'm really excited for all that, and just like to see more people get into virtual film. Like a lot of my friends that went to like the debut for Penrose Protocol got inspired and were like, I need to get into this. Or like I want to make something. It just like inspires so much people to like be like, how is this a thing? I want to do that now.
Actually, I think I don't remember if I brought this up at the last thing, but I'll make it quick. Me, Ariel, and Gab run this community called the Filmmakers of VR Chat, and basically it's a Discord group where we help new people who want to get into film kind of like learn how to do it. People can ask questions and all that sort of stuff. They can do like their own casting calls and whatnot on there as well. It's been really quiet this year, mainly because all three of us are just intensely busy with production. But I'm hoping to run some meetups and workshops at the end of the year. Typically, and at least what we found, is the end of the year works really well for new people and getting people interested in doing this VR stuff, because as winter arrives, people tend to want to stay indoors a little more, and also with like spring or winter break and also I guess spring break, you have more people at home, and for just whatever reason, everything just slows down at the end of the year in winter. And so we hope to run some more workshops, but that's another resource for people who are like curious about this stuff. If they want to like join that, we can host stuff for them. I usually do a like intro to filmmaking workshop. I've only run it once. I need to do it again, but I haven't seen as many people join since the initial surge, and so I haven't felt as compelled to do it again. But I'm thinking of doing that just for the end of the year. So
Kind of just something a little similar along the lines of like as I talk about my Quest Pro controller not wanting to track, and as we talked about in the last episode with Kong, how this is a technical issue, and I swear to God, I hate how things don't track. Just go buy index controllers, please. I hate these things. God, I hate technology so much. But like how more or less I want to like maybe teach like a video editing class, or like a beginning slash like maybe more advanced video editing class, maybe at like a Transcademy or Pride VR, or maybe even both, to show like just to provide an accessible class on like how to get into like even just like video editing, or even like content creation slash like YouTube slash film, kind of like a kind of crash course on like to show people that it's not like as difficult as you think it is to get into this creative space. It's kind of just like more accessible than you kind of think it is to kind of do all that. Because a lot of people are anxiety, and they're like, well, it's probably like a lot of work, and they just like kind of they never go for it, and they need the little like creative push.
Yeah, I mean, the unknown's kind of scary. You show them what's unknown, and maybe, just maybe, they'll be inspired to do it.
Yeah. What I found is you gotta pique people's curiosity. Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
And I'm gonna actually go back to talking about the filmmakers Discord, but some people are very a little bit worried about trying to start working on their own projects and such, and that's kind of the reason why we Khang has done the intro to filmmaking workshops, and also I've been very slow with it myself thanks to real life, but I've been also trying to put out a workshop for those wanting to learn more about VRC Lens. It's been on hold for a while thanks to being a student and also working hand in hand. But when I get the time, I'm hoping to show people saying, hey, here's how you can use both your camera and VRC lens in here to the most ability. But yeah, to give people that initial push and say, hey, you should go for it, and just inspire them to create something is part of the reason why we do this. We want to show people that you have the potential and the creativity to do it. So we just want to be able to give them the access to the tools they need.
Oh heck yeah! And it's also like I probably should buy VRC lens. I don't have it. I kind of just like YOLO. I don't.
You're perfectly fine.
Yeah.
It's kind of the thing of like I even tell friends that like want to get into VR YouTube or just kind of like that general like filming in VR, kind of just the virtual of like just make kind of like just like kind of go for it, just like make something first and see where it goes. Like that's kind of was like I never filmed in VR. I was like, how do I do this? I still have trouble to the day of like even setting up the camera, but it's like put camera here. I'm just gonna talk for an hour. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the more things you make, better you get at it, more confident you get. Yeah. Yeah, it's like Khang said, you want to like start simple and then get a bit more ambitious.
Yeah, like for example, when I started, I was horrible. Like I didn't know what I was doing in this game when I had the tools. I was like, how do I use this? And what does this button do? Oh, that turns it off. Okay. But over time, I kind of just I taught myself because at that point there really wasn't much of any information out there. But now there's plenty. But yeah, and the more you use it, the better you'll get at it. Practice makes perfect in a sense. But of course, you can learn a lot from other people as well in terms of their experience and how they do certain camera techniques or editing or whatever it may be.
One thing I really like want to get like a little better at, because one thing I love about this medium is like just always being able to like learn something new, or like I want to learn like this camera technique, or like how to sound design a little better. Like that's something I've always wanted to learn a little more, is like how to learn and like get more advanced like sound designing and like videos or like films or music videos. Like that's something as a video editor that I feel like I should definitely probably know and learn.
I think it's a very long learning process, but it's okay to start, because my very first production was a lot different than how I do stuff now. It was a film series called LPD Files, and it was filmed a lot different. I didn't have a necessarily like a set dev team per se. I didn't have like others who also were in the same medium, and at the time at least, because I didn't. It was still a very blossoming medium, and like since then, like everything's gotten a lot different. Running a studio has changed the way that I do my workflow, and actually, I think this would be a fun segue because Peach and Quin both do different things than I do. So I'm studio lead for Penrose, Studio Penrose, and I'm also a director. And I typically stick within like the writing side of things. Obviously when you're leading a project, you also have to be a project manager, which means you have to, pay attention to how your dev process is going, if you have dev people, or like the writing, how that's going. But Peach has always been very primarily involved with the more like technical side of things, at least from my side, from the studio stuff. And Quin also has a different set of like skills as well. So I think you guys should talk about that because this is where like studio stuff gets very complex and it's kind of fun because that's where it gets more detailed as well.
You want to take it away?
Sure. I'll take that. So I kind of mentioned in the background. Yeah, I started out body acting, and I did some of the avatar stuff, but it was really in service, just making sure we could film. But yeah, there's the same how there's like a costume department, or when you're like real life film, you have to like get your avatar set up, with your facial expressions. If you're not, you have certain things you want to do, or different outfits. That's like a technical aspect that you got to do. That's kind of where I started at. And there's also other systems like we've gotten pretty good at doing things like what was the knife holding for Penrose Protocol, stuff like that. Like, you can hold things like world pickups in VR chat, and it's just fine. But you generally you're making a fist. But if you want something a bit higher fidelity, then you need someone who's good at like animating and dev to actually animate the hand to hold the object. I'm having it on my avatar right now, but that's like next level. Yeah, you see, like this is just this gesture, but you can like pose the hand to get it to match the object, and that's something we've done. And there's also just the gimmicks like holding like the hat, pulling off various things. Prop design. There's also something that we do. It's kind of a production process is a little opaque, but we have various bot systems. These basically people invisible to the camera. They set up in the world while we're filming, and they'll do various things. Like there's one for lighting. If you want like some additional lights on set, there's something for that. There's a dolly system. That you basically set up a bunch of like points in the world, and will move the person that's sitting on this predefined seat along the path. Things like this that they really allow us to do more, and they really elevate the process. That's kind of like my wheelhouse. I make sure those things. There's even things like Sorry.
I got a question for you, Peach. That lighting bot
Sure.
that you mentioned, how would one get access or get a hold of it? And who created the lighting bot?
Leading me, are you? So the lighting bot, it's so I made it. It actually was, I think I made it back in like 2021. We never really released it until like this year. It's available on GitHub. I think it's like /Peachbight. It's MK license, so you can get it, play around with it. It's you need a dedicated avatar usually, but it's a VRC Fury prefab. You want to just try it out, just drag and drop basically. That's just one of them. There's others coming. It's a little difficult to get them published because they are usually born out of a very mature at this point film process, and getting them to be usable for other people. It's a little different. Like people try to use like the lighting bot for photography, and it wasn't necessarily built for that, but I definitely encourage people to try it out. Lighting is very important for filming, photography. It's like one of the primary disciplines for filming. So but for some of the other aspects, technically the camera that I've always used and I use with other people is like a custom version. There's various modifications you can do. That's one of the best things about having VRC lens. I'd say is it's just an avatar prefab. You can modify it. There's a lot you can do with it. Like we put smoothing options. There's one where we do like we simulate some physics for the zoom. It's typically for zooms on cameras, you have like physical like lens components, and we have a quick program that simulates some stuff like that. Like there's a lot you can do with it. That's kind of it's kind of at request. These wonderful people, they ask for things, and I make sure that they're taken care of. But other than just avatar stuff, even like worlds, there's a lot of worlds out here in VR chat. And basically you can go to any of them and start filming, and that's great. But sometimes you need something a bit more custom, something that's a bit more tailored, or there's something ambitious you want to do that involves needing something in the world to do it. That's kind of what I do. It's kind of like just making a world for just anything else, but there's just certain quirks for your film. You have to make sure everything looks good with the camera, basically. That's kind of like the main bulk of the work that I'm involved with right now.
Yeah, no, for sure. And Peach is immensely talented. We really, a lot of our stuff would not be possible without her. So thank you. We appreciate it.
You're
But
welcome.
I guess, no, of course. Thank you. You get a little hat for today.
Hey,
You happy?
ooh. I'm like,
Ooh, okay, you've had enough time. All right. Anyway, um, so and bouncing off of that, my main role within Studio Penrose is cinematography. That's what I usually do for most of or all of our productions. So make everything look very nice and give it a very certain camera direction. But recently, over the last 2 or 3 years, I've been taking on a few different roles. For our projects, I've been helping out with writing. So when we have some new idea that we want to materialize, for example, Emergence way back when we were producing it, and then of course the episodic series alongside that. I've been writing it, of course, alongside Peach, Khang, and a few other of our members, which has been a lot of fun. And been improving my writing skills with, of course, helping out with Our Precious Autumn and even my own film or my own short, Minutes. So it's been a rocky road, but I've been trying to improve those skills over time. And alongside that, I'm also a voice director. So for when we do casting calls, we will put out our projects and we'll have people audition for them. And when we select whoever we have for certain characters, Khang and I will usually sit with them and we will go through all the voice lines through a script. And I usually will be there to help guide them in terms of how we want their voice to sound for our characters and what direction we need to lead them to. And it's been a lot of fun, little goofy fun time, but very it's given me a lot of experience in my own field because I work a lot with audio and sound, so definitely didn't expect to be doing it here, but very fun. And actually, bounce off of that, I'm also a sound designer. So we have another sound design person within our studio called Scarlett. She's immensely talented. She's helped with doing the sound design for Penrose Protocol and a few other of our productions. She is amazing. I love her to death. And she's actually been teaching me a little bit about her processes of changing with sound and adjusting little things here and there. And I've been basically her like little Padawan. So learning that as well. But yeah, and if we're low on people, I sometimes do body acting. But that's mostly it.
Going back into like about like kind of the plot of like Your Precious Autumn or Our Precious Autumn. I love kind of like how it's about like the story with like among artists and how it's a little bit like about burnout and how like a lot of people at one point or another like really experience that, and it's really like people really need to like learn how to like not work themselves to death and burnout and really actually have like a balance with everything, because it's like very important to like not burn out.
Yeah. So I don't remember exactly what I said in the previous podcast about the plot of that film. But just to quickly summarize the idea behind it, that film was more or less a personal experience that I just put into film format, but obviously altered to fit a film format. And so I guess the project has grown since the interview quite a lot, actually. So Quin mentioned the voice direction stuff that he's helping me with. And we actually have 2 VAs that we're going to have recording sessions for this weekend. The casting call that we put out for the project caught a lot more attention than I anticipated, honestly. And so I'm really happy to see that. There were a lot of really kind words, and so our top VAs for some of the main characters, we have a VA that actually did voice acting in Evangelion and a bunch of other anime for Crunchyroll. That's our lead for the film. We also had a VA that did stuff for Genshin Impact, but then we also have VAs that are like newer, some that don't usually do film production. They do like other like media types, like informative videos and stuff like that for even the government. And kind of along the similar lines, we have people that are helping in the projects in the art department, because the film follows a manga artist, and so we need the manga art to be made. So we have Acrylic, who's our studio artist, who's producing not only the storyboard for this, but also most of the art that's in the film, because the artist character will not just be like scribbling random stuff. Like you won't see them just like not writing anything. You'll see their art on the walls. And it's all going to be art made by Acrylic. There's also a scene where she goes back in time, and without spoiling anything, there's some of her older art as well, and that'll be produced by another one of our artists, Boop, who does art and some animation as well. and there's also music in the film that's produced in-house again. We'll have some work done by Starheart actually, without spoiling too much about that, and then also some from Scarlett, who Quinn mentioned, as well as Eliza, who has been really diving into music, and I'm very happy to see that. They jumped into music production this year, and they've already made like a lot of progress in terms of learning music production. One of the things I'm very proud of regarding the studio, and my favorite aspect about it, is, and this goes to show with not only the way we selected our voice actors, but also just the people within the studio that are part of production. We come from all different skill levels and like places. The film itself is kind of like an exemplification of that, where we don't just have like people that are very like have done this for like 10 years and so on and so forth. But like our VAs, for instance, we have people from Genshin Impact and Evangelion and everything. But then we also have VAs that are new, who don't do these sort of projects. Same with our art. Our art is all made in-house. And with that project and the message of what I'm trying to convey with the project regarding burnout and the creative, I made sure, and I wanted our studio to get as many creatives as we could on this project. Obviously making sure not to burn them out, because if you burn out an artist in a film about burnout, that's probably not the best idea. But yeah, so that's kind of my roots. Like at least the roots of the studio is producing a film like this, like emotional type films. We love our action, we love our series, but our very first film was Voicemail, and it was definitely not an action type film. And so I kind of like going back to the roots of this, and obviously with the message of the project is very interesting. So, yeah.
Heck yeah, that's gonna be very exciting. And also, just like another like little random point here of like people that are looking to get into creative works and everything. If you have a creative idea with like just like, oh, I want to like make this idea, or like I have an idea for like a film or a music video or even like a cover thing that you want to do, write it down. You will forget the idea. Please.
I would say that. Oh, actually, you go ahead.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I'm gonna very much agree with you here, because one of the film projects that I've had on hold for a while, it was literally I was driving back to college, like 3 or 4 in the morning, and a certain random track played on my Spotify playlist, and immediately a film idea popped up in my mind. I parked on the side of the road and wrote it down, and if I didn't do that, I probably would not remember it. So please take that advice. Do write down the ideas that come to your mind, because you will probably forget them. So, but carry on.
No, that was exactly what I was gonna say. It's like, okay, it sounds stupid, but like sometimes I get like ideas from dreams or when I'm driving, because I'm always blasting music when I'm driving and like imagining them in a film, right? I know, right? And so like what I have to do is like when I think of something, I start looping the music, because I don't want to pull over to write it down. And so what I'll do is I'll start looping the song that I'm like listening to while that was forming in my head to like help remember it. But like another big piece of advice I have for new emerging like filmmakers is to find the importance in script. I know a lot of people like have different levels of experience with scripts, and obviously it takes time to learn how to like write them properly. But it's important to like put it down in a script format, because when it comes to production, it'll help you as a new filmmaker, but also help those that you're working with, your body actors, your voice actors, and so on and so forth. A script helps you sequentialize what you're like wanting to do. My biggest like fault back then when I started filmmaking was that I was very unorganized, and still to this day, I'm sure they can attest that I'm sometimes very unorganized. But I've like started getting used to things like that. And the script is something I didn't used to do. It's what I wish I started out doing. So, and by the way, this is like a misconception that I've heard before. A script is not 100% set in stone. You don't have to follow your script 100% set in stone. It's mainly it at least provides a direction and provides like information for your voice actors or people that you're working with on set. Very often, in fact, more often than not, we alter the script. Look, whether or not the VAs are like, hey, I think this sounds better. Yeah, that does sound better. Like that sort of thing. It's mainly a guideline, so I'm sure someone would throw me in a trash can for saying that's mainly a guideline, but to each their own, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
I know a lot of directors, they have their different preferences for how much to stick to the script. I'm just like, this is literally a suggestion. Just go ham. Others are very strict with what they want. I think it's like a personal preference thing. But going along
Yeah.
with script though. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, no, go ahead.
There's besides the script, there's other kinds of documents. It really depends on how much you want to really do as part of the pre-production. But there's things like a storyboard that I've seen some people do. Storyboards like you do like visual representation, like some frames of what you're trying to make. It's good for communication with the team, especially. It also like helps you figure out some visualization things at first as well. There's like plot outlines. There's a lot of these things, these tools can help you in like scripting and figuring out what you're going to do with your camera ultimately.
But yeah, no, for sure. And I was actually going to bounce on what Kong was talking about in terms of scripting. For example, the way that Minutes was originally, just formatted was it was actually a dream from one of our studio members, Christy Wisp. She does choreography for us, and she wanted to convert that dream that she had into a full-fledged script idea. And I took on the task of doing that, and I will admit it was not easy. It was a bit rough to try and reformat it, but I did it. It's eventually done, and I'm actually very proud with how it came out. So I can't spill too many details yet, but definitely putting into a script format will help you along the road in terms of giving the people you're working with a direction and also a guideline to work off of. And like he also said, it's not set in stone. You can improvise. You can alter things on the road. So don't let that be all set and done.
Ooh, I
Actually,
want to also add to that. Or actually, you
I
go.
was they mentioned something that we did was we watched remember the La La Land argument. They have
Yeah, the script side by side.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You can see how far they've deviated because the side by side. You can see what they're saying to the script. Yeah, it's insightful.
Yeah. I wanted to bring this up too because I've gotten questions about this, and I think this might be helpful for those who are like looking for help. So, okay, I've had people ask me, "Hey, can I pitch you a script idea and like you guys do the film?" And usually my answer is we can't because we just have too much in house to handle, like straight up. But this still helps if you're looking for people to like form a team with. So let's say I'm a new filmmaker and I've never really produced anything, and I'm like, hey, I want to like do something, and I need help. If I go up to people and just tell them like, hi, I don't know you, but I have a film idea, and it's this, and I verbalize it without really doing much else, chances are they're probably gonna say, probably not, because you need to provide like something to help. And so like a script is a bare minimum, but I oftentimes like also providing storyboards. And like Peach said, storyboards don't always have to be like drawn hand. They can be like sticky noted. They can be like you can take pictures in game as well to help like kind of like pose things. That's what I've done before. But that's another example. Proof of concepts, like writing out like the main plot line and stuff like that in like a brainstorming way. Like I personally am much more compelled to actually like follow through with like helping someone on a project if that's what they give me. Like that's kind of like what I need bare minimum as like a studio lead for our studio. And like all the directors for Penrose, they kind of know that like, hey, we have like a procedure of like green lighting where it's provide like this sort of thing, like script, outline ideas, images sometimes. That usually helps a lot because I can't always read people's minds and vice versa. And so that sort of thing will help communication. So huge recommendation for those that are looking for help, or who want to ask people like, hey, give them like docs, give them like outlines and ideas and pictures. That will more than likely have people actually want to help. And also, there's never anything wrong with providing a proof of concept video as well. Take one person as your body actor and go film something, you know? That's usually pretty helpful.
Okay, speaking of that, like La La Land thing, you guys know the like opening scene in that where it's like the big scene on like the freeway.
Yes.
I was very
Yeah.
shocked by that, of like how it's like a really like kind of continuous shot, or like also it's like it's very well synced, and I'm like, how the goddamn hell did they do that? And like imagine trying to do that in like VR, like Jesus Christ.
I'm gonna make the claim that it's impossible in VR at the current state of VR. So,
It's impossible
But-
without actually doing the mocap for it.
yeah, without just like capturing and then re-editing the motion capture. But I'd also argue that it's more possible than you think, but it's just not there yet. Because if you okay, so for those that are not aware, La La Land opens up with a dance sequence that is, I think, like maybe 2 minutes long, where there's a bunch of cars on a freeway and everyone gets out of the cars and starts dancing, essentially in a very musical fashion, because La La Land is a musical. And the way that was filmed is, I believe they actually shut down an exit ramp in LA and positioned everything and filmed it. And I don't remember if it was actually one take, but I know they had a crane and I know they had like a camera mounted on the boom of the crane. And that's where we, if you remember the earlier part of the conversation, we get away with this because we don't need a boom crane and we don't need a crane itself. You know, we have that stuff very easily accessible through drones. And so we actually could like film the camera movements, and with the cueing and stuff, the only part that's like very difficult and nearly impossible, and makes it nearly impossible, is syncing up all of the dancing. That's where it becomes impossible because of what we have limitation-wise. With, you know, we'd need like 40 people. You'd all need to be synced. You'd all need to cue them in like the correct way. But you know, that's what I'm
Latency.
saying. It's like it's there but not there. Yeah, latency. And a lot of it because of the amount of people that you need to perform that. But highly recommend watching that scene if you have not seen La La Land.
Well, it's a great scene. I'm looking this up and probably like putting this in post production. What? There's no way that was one take, right?
I don't know because okay, so most one takes are not one take. I must ruin the like the immersion of that. For Penrose Protocol, we opened with a one take. It's not a one take. We split up into 3 sections. But with most productions, they do a splice when something moves in front of the camera. Like that's just the classic, you know. And I don't know 100% because I need to like rewatch this. I never like rewatched it to look for it. But I remember a couple shots where like someone dances in front of the camera, and I wonder if those were the splices. Because in order to get a 2-minute long sequence like perfect like that, it's very difficult. But if they said that they would have done it, or if they say that they did it in one take, I believe them till like 2, because you know, that one's possible. It's just yeah. So who knows?
There's another film, I think Child of Man or something like that, Children of Man. That one
Yeah.
had a lot of continuous shots. I think a lot of them were actually filmed continuously.
Oh,
Dark
a
film.
great example. Yeah, a great example is actually 1917 for
Hmm.
one shot. Definitely
It's fun.
a great take on the idea. But carry on.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's fun to look for the splices though.
Yeah.
I like doing that. It's like it doesn't really okay. This is a film nerd type thing because like you're not supposed to look for them because it destroys your immersion, but it's just fun. Because then it also for us, it's like we learn where to splice if we're gonna do something similar. So if you're ever bored, look for the splices within a continuous take. You'll find them. I promise you will, but you have to look.
Hey,
Look
Kyle.
very hard.
So, kind of like with that, I'm not the only person that goes back and watch a film and like, where did they like cut in this scene? Like the split. Like, I'm not the only one that does that, right?
No, not at all. I think we all
It's
do
fun,
here.
yeah.
We all do it.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of
Yeah.
like big action scenes, have you guys all seen like that one really big action scene from like Kill Bill, with the yellow tracksuit scene with the
Yes, I
yeah,
have
that was
seen that.
crazy.
Crispy probably has some opinions about that. Crispy Wisp, our choreographer.
Yeah.
I imagine she does.
Like that. I'm not sure if that's possible in virtual reality. That's like a lot of things going on at once, and latency.
Acting in general is just tough. Your dancing as well. Just you have to worry about your tracking.
Tracking's a huge one to keep it more, realistic and immersive, especially for the audience who's watching, because we've had to do, and just in general for filmmaking, usually a lot of our retakes are trackers going to disconnect randomly or lag or some other issues. And like I literally have one of our old projects. I literally have a folder that's literally the same shot retaken, I don't know, 20, 40 times because one of these trackers just could not do the thing it needs to. There's examples like that, and it's annoying. Like we had to say, "Oh, reset, reset, reset," and then we finally get the shot. I'm like, "Yes, cut, we're good." And everyone's like super happy. But that's just one of the fun little goofy moments of filming in VR because trackers can do some really funny movements and it causes some bloopers for us. So we have a lot of them on stock for our previous projects. And when we were talking about how people run into stuff, we for emergence there's a little walkway up the stairs to Lucina's room, and one of our friends, Lazy Dino King, who is one of our main body actors for Studio Penrose, he didn't realize where he was in his room position-wise, and he actually ran to the door. And it
Oh,
looks like he
no.
ran to the door in the scene, and it was really funny.
Sword Art Online.
Oh yeah, but no,
Immersed.
it's even with the drawbacks of tracking and latency and stuff, it can also bring about some very fun moments.
Bloopers in films are always like great, or just like eventually like kind of taking all those clips and it's like let's do like a bloopers reel.
Oh
We
yeah.
talked about doing that. Yeah, like many times. And
Yeah.
the only thing that kind of like stops me personally from doing them is like I have a lot to do now. Like a lot of things, leading a studio and our current productions. To make like a bloopers reel, you have to like pull all the clips and look at all the clips to find them, and then you have to edit them together. It's almost the same level of work as like editing a normal video, and that can be difficult. That's why you haven't seen like a bloopers reel on Penrose yet. But I can assure you that we have a lot of them, like a lot of them. I'm usually very conservative with my filming as well. Like I start filming right before and I cut right after the shot, and so I sometimes miss out on that. I know some people continuously record. You don't do that, right, Quin? Okay, yeah. I know some people do.
I cut.
But
I know people do it, but I'm like, it's just that's such a pain. I'm gonna be honest with
dude,
you.
I'm not editing 40 minutes
I'm
worth of
good.
a cut. No way.
I'll give you the 40 seconds, man.
I want to hit some
Yeah.
random questions. Quinn, Peachbight,
Sure.
do you guys
Let's
have
hit
a
'em.
favorite ocean animal?
Teach.
The Rift S microphone. Let's go. Come on, it's fun. Come on.
Bro, that sounded like the Rift S microphone, the way you like breathed.
No,
and-
that was
Yeah.
great. No, that was great. That was great.
I was like, what?
That's my answer.
Oh,
Take it,
jeez.
really.
What animal makes that noise?
What are you talking about? Many of them.
Oh, okay.
I mean, doesn't even know
I guess
about
we're just
marine
uncultured.
animals.
Yeah, I guess we just don't know. So Quinn, what is your
Well-
favorite animal? Skipping over Peach.
Oh, gosh, it's either between either an owl or a lynx. Those are like the top two of my favorites.
Wait, it was
Heck
an
yeah.
ocean animal, right?
Yeah.
Oh, an ocean.
Yeah, it's a-
Yeah, hold on. Let me.
Ocean Quinn.
Oops, I'm sorry, my bad. Listen, those are not aquatic animals.
Those are great
Oh
animals.
boy. Honestly, does an axolotl count?
Oh,
Ocean?
freshwater, but
Where
No.
you found an
Let's go.
axolotl in the ocean?
In Minecraft, Kong, in
Marine
Minecraft.
biology, okay? Listen, I didn't do too much marine biology. That's not what I studied. Okay, how about this? Beluga whale or starfish.
I don't know why, but you come up as a beluga whale type person. Like someone who likes beluga whale.
Please tell me more. I am so curious on how you
Okay,
found
I don't
out.
know.
Yes.
I think see, the viewers don't understand this, but it's because I've known you for a while, and I feel like you like eccentric animals. Like you could have said whale, but it was specifically a beluga whale, and therefore, and also I don't know why, they just look so funny.
They are funny, so I mean that's part of it. But
And
fair
it feels
enough.
like your type. Okay, there you go.
Okay, fair enough.
Starfish was
You
an
know,
outlier though. What?
Did I ask you the ocean question? I can't remember. Uh-oh.
Yeah, you did. I think I said it
Yeah.
was a sea turtle, but that's everyone knows or at least people that know me know that I like turtles because I have a pet turtle. His name is Feisty. He's very feisty. So that was an easy answer for me.
they keep trying to escape from you, and they keep getting out there and have it.
He gave up.
Wait, actually,
leaving.
Okay, so for a while, I upgraded my turtle's like basking platform. Turtles are supposed to suntan. They have to have like a platform, and this one was like low-key like really tall, and so bro was like way closer to the exit than before, and so like he would just try to escape, and you could hear him trying to escape, and like he'd look really stupid with this, just like he's like sometimes I would go out and he would just be vertical, like perfectly perpendicular with the water level. And one time he straight up escaped, and it was during, I think it was like a rain dance thing too. I don't remember. It was some like important event. It might have been Fia's like anniversary. I don't remember. Actually, it was totally that. It was,
Was it?
definitely the 10-year anniversary.
wait,
of your
what?
chat.
Oh my
And so
god.
I lost my turtle, and so I just basically had to say, okay, he could not have made it that far. I have to go to this event. I'll look for him afterwards.
That's
And
right.
I found him
What?
in the kitchen afterwards. Bro was just chilling in the kitchen. So, yeah, my turtle escaped somehow due to this. He stopped trying because I lowered the platform. By the way, before any animal activists come at me, he is very perfectly housed in a very good-sized tank. He has plenty of water and stuff like that. He is happy. He just wanted a taste of freedom.
I think there's a reason why they're trying to escape this man. I'm gonna be honest with you.
What do you mean?
What? What are you talking about,
He
Quinn?
loves
It's a
me.
very curious turtle.
He hates me. His name.
Don't you have that
for a
really
reason. He
random
tries to
thought?
bite
No,
me.
here's the turtle's mindset. It was like, what if I could escape? It was an idea.
I mean, it's
Wasn't
like Finding
even
Nemo.
yeah.
It happened.
they try to escape
It was no
the,
longer what if.
It's like now or never. Take my shot. But I forgot that happened during the 10-year anniversary.
We were trying to show emergence to an audience of many people, including the VR chat staff. And in the back of my mind, I was like, Feisty is missing.
Oh no.
Gary, come home, please.
I would have probably, like, if it wasn't like, or like before the event, I would probably just chucked my headset off and went to go look for the turtle.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
goodness.
my mentality was that he was not far. Like I could find him. It's just so I focused. I mean, there's a chance he could have even been in the room with me while we were there because I didn't
Oh,
really
no.
check this room. He didn't leave a little trail of water either because it was like hours before I was like out for the night doing stuff, and I came
Oh, so
home
he
and
escaped while.
it's just
Oh.
yeah, he escaped while I was gone. So there's no way he like left the house. But sorry, that was like a very long tangent about this escape situation.
We're talking about
True to his
sea
name,
animals.
Feisty.
God.
Yeah.
Turtles doing
Okay,
that
we-
Operation Heist.
Operation Turtle Heist. Wait! I have an idea for a film.
Hmm?
We're gonna do Operation Turtle Heist.
I think I'd give up filmmaking if I produced a film like that because there's no peaking that.
Can I resign?
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, we actually gotta do that sometime. Wait, that's actually fire.
God no.
That'll be our April Fool's thing. How about that?
There's only like 3 people that would get the joke. Like... So anyways, I need to turn this back into important conversation. So yeah, what ammo were you trying to represent, Peach?
Me?
Yeah, share the response.
Well, it's either gonna be. Well, sea turtles are pretty nice. I like them. They look nice. But squid, I think they look cuter. Like you go cuttlefish. There's also what do you call it? The Medusa jellyfish. Terrifying, but I think it looks nice. And it's a little known fact. I do enjoy eating jellyfish.
Why did you select 2 terrifying creatures and then proceed to explain that you could eat one of them?
Well, I wouldn't eat a Medusa jellyfish, but you can eat jellyfish. They're pretty nice.
Honestly, I mean, we should expect it.
can.
I'm kind of hungry.
Yeah, she's pretty
Yeah.
terrifying, but we're all very scared of her. That's actually why we're still doing production, is that she will...
We're being held hostage because of this one. If we decide to move out of the way, we're gonna be torn apart. What?
I mean, listen, at least I didn't say cone snail. Those will just kill you dead like
Okay.
instantly.
At least I didn't say code snail.
Actually,
I'm
gonna say this.
Cone snails genuinely terrify me. Just be chilling on the beach, and then you're dead. I mean, you wouldn't know you're dead.
Yeah,
The
the
one
wonders of
here
our
right
city.
now.
Whoa, whoa!
Lurking out there.
Could be any one of them.
Final thing, I will make the turtle film.
We will support this.
Do I have your blessing to make the turtle film?
You do. You do have my
Let's
blessing.
go.
You can retell the
Please.
story.
You must be
I'm
told.
asking you questions about this. Like, I actually really want to make the turtle film.
The turtle film.
Turtle film.
All right, I'll go start on a turtle avatar.
No!
Let's go!
I'm
Let's
gonna
go!
turn feisty.
Yes!
If you need, I can 3D scan them, so...
Oh,
Oh,
please,
perfect.
please.
Actually, full production turtle film.
In theaters this Sunday. No, actually, no, it'll be like April or something.
Okay, we start
It's gonna
production
be
on this
April.
now.
April.
Turtle, April, love story film, but with turtles.
Turtle love story.
Turtle love story.
Maybe I'm gonna resign.
What would you say? The turtle has to get out of its shell? Huh?
I think,
It's
we
why we
should
can't
end
have
the
nice things.
podcast right now. Like, I think we're losing it.
We can't have nice things because of this one.
Yo, cut the camera. Quin, Khang, thanks so much for coming out. This is absolutely amazing. Heck yeah. And I'll see you all in the virtual world in the next Kaiyo Cast episode. Bye. Bye.